Before beginning this session, I ask you to complete one activity. Give your own definition about what is learning. I suppose all of you completed that definition. And let me begin with what is learning. So this picture is actually coming from the previous participants of Lighthouse CC. And I asked community college computing faculty, what is learning? And then what I got was these lists. One faculty mentioned it's gaining knowledge, and the other one said it's understanding. Other that said it's working, or it's kind of discussion or sharing. And then Kaizen. I didn't know that the meaning of the Kaizen, and I found that it is about like engaging in learning process. And then know something new that's relevant to gaining knowledge, right? And then on learning, what you've always been told is possible. Let's simply define the learning. So I quickly searched for the Wikipedia. Yeah, Wikipedia. Do you think the previous participants in Lighthouse CC's definition in this picture, do you think it covers everything here? Just in summary, it looks like for me, everybody's talking about it's about occurring knowledge, whichever types of knowledge, right? And then also they're thinking about understanding about the knowledge. And probably the synthesizing means when occurring new knowledge, think back about what they have known so far and then try to fit in to their prior understanding about the new concepts. I think in broad term, that's the definition of the learning. So before we move on to what is pedagogy, the reason I covered learning is because pedagogy is the method and practice of teaching for learning. So to understand how to teach or what will be the best way to teach, we need to understand about learning. That's why I ask you to go ahead, write about your definition, and then think about what others are talking about learning. So educational psychologists or educational researchers try to understand what is the best way to teach. And I'm pretty sure that each one of you, as an experienced faculty in computing courses, you might think of this question as well. What will be the best way to teach these students? And for this inclusive pedagogy session, we'll think about too, what is the best way to teach diverse students? So to teach well, we need to understand how people learn, then we can follow, okay, which way will be the best way to support their learning? And probably that is the best way to teach, to support how people are learning. To answer this question, how people learn, educational psychologists have developed their understanding about how people learn. So actually this topic can be covered during one semester or even for a year. However, what I'm going to do here will be really brief summarize about how education psychologists have developed the understanding about how people learn. So let's begin with the behaviorist. So education psychologists believe that learning is kind of stimulus and reinforcement. So giving them some stimulus and then give them some compliments, it will reinforce. And if they are doing wrong, give some punishment, then that will enhance their learning. So one of the example of the behaviorist perspective strategies will be having drill and practice. And then it moves to the cognitive point of view. What is learning and how people learn? So cognitive says, no, it's not enough with drill and practice. It looks like people need to have some more specific strategies how to learn well. For example, people have like cognition. So there are some strategies to memorize well about what they have learned. So for example, like information processing theory, they're talking about short-term memory and long-term memory, which is to restore what you have learned, the new knowledge, into long-term memory. We need to have some strategies like chunking or highlighting or categorizing about the contents. So yeah, that's all true. So cognitivists insist that definitely people learn with some strategies in their cognition. And then still, education psychologists found, that's not enough. So what constructivists found was actually how people learn is thanks to people's social interaction. So when people interact with each other, or kids interact with their peers, or with their parents, or with adults, they are growing their knowledge. And that's the way how people learn. So constructivist point of view, learning should be contextually connected to each other. And since it is based on students' needs and preferences, all the learning should have a chance to internalize what they have learned. So when it comes to the best way to teach, we need to consider at least three elements and their interaction to each other: learning environments, and teaching, and then learning. So learning environments includes curriculum. So thinking back our situation as a faculty, as an instructor, we are teaching with learning goals based on the curriculum, which is provided by the school or state-based state standards or national standards, right? And then we taught something those curriculum to learner. And then pedagogy will be between teaching and learning to enhance learners' learning process. So pedagogy will take a role as the method and practice of teaching for learning. So when it comes to what it will be the best way to teach, we need to think about these three elements, how these three elements are interacting. Then we can explain what will be the best way to teach. In summary, we cannot explain how people learn with one theory. And also, we cannot say this is the best way to teach without saying the learning environment, the goal, curriculum, and also your pedagogical belief about what is the best way to teach, and also how students are learning, how much do they know about the topic. Based on their prior knowledge, the best way to teach could be different. This is quite similar to physics. When we are learning physics, physics constrains but does not dictate how to build a bridge, right? Like that, learning theory does not provide a simple recipe for designing effective learning environments, which is not single learning theory can be a way to explain the best way to teach.